Good morning, everyone. Let's get started with the class today. Some of you will be handing in your work a little bit late. I haven't gotten all the essays from everybody, but I'm granting you an extension until the 30th, and that's it. Most of you got very good grades, so I'm very happy with the results. The plan for today is a little bit of grammar, exploring a text, and we're also going to be looking into a movie that you're going to be watching. I thought this was a little bit cute. The little boy sitting on the toilet. So we're going to start with the text first, and then we'll move on to a little bit of grammar, which is not grammar that you have never seen before. It's nothing completely new. It's adjectives versus adverbs, comparative and superlative forms. What is that? Adverbs, how you do things. Adjectives, how things are, or how people are, or how situations are. So we're going to be comparing adjectives and adverbs, and we're going to be working a little bit with some activities on the book. I'd like to work with you throughout all the activities and make sure that we get as much done as possible, because we're starting the month of May. We don't have that many weeks left out of the school year, so I want to get as much done as possible. My plan is to finish chapter 5 this year, and next school year start from chapter 6 and finish the book. And I feel like it sounds like a fantastic plan. The little American flag here somewhere. It's an English class. Put the American flag anywhere. So I'd like everybody to please be prepared. This might run a little bit long. Some people get bored in the middle of a video. And I know that I could probably sit with everybody in the Skype conference call, but I feel like it's too much distraction. So I'd rather trust that everyone is paying attention and taking notes, and that everyone has their books. And we will use the Skype conferences for, well, they're coming soon. In our region, they're called fagsamtalet. And I hope that everybody gets to speak their mind, and also give me an opportunity to hear you out individually. We're going to schedule this really soon. So I hope everyone's prepared. So I'd like to go over a few things with you guys today. We're going to start with adjectives and adverbs first. Which is it's the most important topic of the day. Page 160. I'm going to open it so you can see. Page 160. Adjectives and adverbs. I'm going to find the place for myself here. This is as good a place as any. Adjectives and adverbs. As I said to you guys before, you have studied this over and over again. You have probably seen it first when you were maybe 3rd or 4th grade, and then you saw it again in 8th grade. You definitely have studied this before, and I'm sure you've studied this in Norwegian as well. Adjectives. How you describe somebody, something, or a situation. You watched a movie and you can say that movie was fantastic. Fantastic, your adjective. You're describing the movie. You're telling me something about the movie, what you thought of it. That's a positive adjective. Something positive that you say about something, that's a positive adjective. You also have some negative adjectives. You can watch a movie and say that movie was awful. Awful. Very negative adjective. Or you can say someone was an awful person. Awful. That's your adjective. Adverbs are more like how things happen, how things are, how somebody does something. And how things are, I mean, talk about describing how a situation happened. I quickly stood up. So how did that happen? Quickly. I did that quickly. How you did something, how something happened. So let's read what the book has for us. Adjectives and adverbs. An adjective tells you about people, things, and places. I had a great day. So where it has, look at the book where it says great, you can substitute it for quite a few words. I had an awesome day. Remember, and I'm going to illustrate that with an example. An awesome day. A great day, but an awesome day. You have to use an awesome day, because the word awesome starts with a vowel sound. Awesome. An awesome day. The example on the book, a great day. And the reason for that is that the word great starts with a consonant sound. G. From letter G, G. A great day. An awesome day, a great day. Awesome and great are adjectives. Now I'm going to give you a different type of example. And I think you probably remember it from class, if not from my class, from classes that you had before. Because like I said, you have studied adjectives and adverbs in 8th grade, and before that maybe 3rd or 4th grade. This is not completely new. But it is important that you know very well how to use these words. The next example I have for you, a unique person. So, an awesome day, awesome starts with a vowel sound. A great day, a g, g. That's a consonant sound. Great day, a great day. Then you have the word unique, which is also an adjective. It depends on how you see it. It could be seen as a positive or a negative or neutral. Not positive, not negative. It depends on how you see the word. But let's look at the structure here. A unique person. What is that first sound in that word? Unique. Y, y, that sound. Every time you have that sound, that's not a vowel sound. That's not a consonant sound. It is a semi-vowel or a semi-vowel. Depends on how people choose to pronounce this. And I'm going to put it in small letters right over here. A semi-vowel is that sound. Y. So you have a yellow boat. A unique person. So it all has to do with the pronunciation of the words, not how they look. Because you might see a word. Let's look at the word. I'm going to write it first. Look at this word here. If I ask you, what is the first letter in that word? You will tell me, oh, that's easy, that's letter H. And then if you think about the letter, it's letter H. It's a consonant. But it is not pronounced. The first sound that you hear is a vowel sound. It's a vowel sound. You say hour. You don't pronounce that H. So the article that you're going to use for hour is an hour. You use an because the first sound that you hear in that word is a vowel sound. You see a consonant, but the pronunciation here is hour, an hour. And I know that I've talked about this before in class with you girls, because it goes without saying that this is a topic that comes up very often. And you have learned it before. But people keep making those mistakes. I still see people using an or a in the middle of their fantastic piece of work that they write to me. And I'm so impressed, and all of a sudden I see that they misplaced for an or vice versa. And the rule is simple. Vowel sounds, an hour, an octopus, an egg, an apple, an. And then you should really focus on the fact that it's the sound, not the letter. Letter H is a lot of times not pronounced. So here we have the adjective honest. Honest man. A or an before honest man? The answer is an honest man. Even though you see letter H is not pronounced. An honest man is the correct answer. Honest is an adjective. So when you talk about somebody, you can say, she's an honest girl. That person's very honest. But when you talk about how somebody does something, how someone speaks, for example, an honest man speaks honestly. So, not honestly, but honestly. Let's do this whole thing from the start. An honest man speaks honestly. So you have both the adjective and the adverb in the same sentence. So, an honest man speaks honestly. Honestly is the adverb. Honest is the adjective. Moving along, the second phrase in there, it's an adverb tells you where, how, and when. Sometimes an adverb will tell you where, sometimes when, sometimes how. Let's think of some adverbs of location. She walks everywhere. She walks everywhere. Everywhere is an adverb of location, of where. She walks everywhere. An adverb that tells you when. He comes over every day. He comes over every day. So here you have every day, very important to remember. Every day, two separate words when it's an adverb, and every day as one word when it's an adjective. He comes over every day. When does he come over? Every day. So it's an adverb of frequency, of when, how often he comes over. Now I'm going to give you an example where every day is an adjective, hence spelled together as one word. This is an everyday thing. Adverb, everyday, two separate words, every day. Adjective, everyday thing. Because it's, what kind of thing is it? You're describing, what kind of thing is it? It's an everyday thing. So when you describe something, you talk about an honest man, an everyday thing, a great day, an awful day. You're describing something. Every day as two separate words is the adverb. Number 3 on your book, on that same page. When you compare shorter adjectives and adverbs, you use the endings ER and EST. Comparing. The rule in Norwegian is kind of similar for comparatives. Let's observe this. And I want to pick an example where it makes sense. So, I'm going to give you an example in Norwegian. I just picked 2 names out of the blue. I'm not talking about anyone. And I specifically picked names of people who are not in this class. Names of people that, they're just random names. They're not names that you should think I'm talking about anyone. There we go. In that sentence, I am comparing them, right? I am comparing them. Maybe I'm not saying something too fantastic about them, because one is at a disadvantage. Let me write it bigger. Nora är penare än Rita. No offense if you know somebody named Nora or Rita. Nora är penare än Rita. So here you have, I'm comparing the two. Penare is an adjective, isn't it? So when I make that sentence, I'm also saying Nora är pen. I'm also saying Rita är pen. They're both beautiful women. I'm just saying that one is more beautiful than the other. But let's use a different translation of the word pen. Instead of beautiful, let's use pretty, because then you can physically see how I'm saying it similar. Pretty, and then I add a few more sounds. Prettier. The same thing with pen, penare. So the rule is very simple and very similar to Norwegian. Let's write the same thing in English now. Nora is prettier than Rita. So I'm saying Nora is pretty, Rita is pretty, but Nora is prettier. Penare. Penare. Pretty, prettier. Of course, there are a lot of details to think about. You have to change the words. You have to remove the Y and make it into an I-E-R. Pretty, prettier. And you learned all those rules way back then in 8th grade. And this is not new, it's a review. So I am very confident that a lot of you will remember the rule and will probably rock this without a problem. Let's look at the examples on the book. When you compare shorter adjectives and adverbs, you use the endings ER and EST. My sister is younger than me. Young, younger. When you compare long adjectives and adverbs, you use more and most. So let's look at an example with more. More. First, I'll give you the adjective. Ambitious. Ambitious. That's a long adjective. Ambitious. If I talk about two people and I'm comparing them, I can say here is a sentence. Charlie is more ambitious than me. More ambitious than me. So here you have the word ambitious. 3 syllables. Ambitious. Because of that, I can't just put an ER in the end. I have to say more ambitious than. Let's take a look at another example. Beautiful is a word that people commonly use, and that's also a long word. Beautiful. 3 syllables. Let's use the Nora and Rita again. Nora is more beautiful than Rita. More beautiful than, because beautiful is a long word. With short adjectives, it is a lot easier. For instance, his house is bigger than mine. So I'm saying my house is big, his house is big, but his house is bigger than mine. So big has only 1 syllable. It ends in a consonant, so you double that consonant and you add an ER to it. His house is bigger than mine. All of those examples are comparatives. Comparatives are used for 2 things, 2 situations, 2 occasions. You compare one thing to another. Superlatives is when you take one thing out of a whole group of things. For instance, my cousin says London is the most exciting city in the world. So when my cousin said that, she was comparing London with every other city in the world. She's comparing one thing with a very large group. The most exciting city in the world. In the world. But if you talk about shorter adjectives, let me give you an example. Let's go with small. Small has only 1 syllable. And the example I'm going to give you is, this is the smallest bottle I've ever seen. And you may ask me, Pollyanna, how do I know you're comparing one bottle with a lot of other bottles? Well, if I'm saying this is the smallest bottle I've ever seen, it means I must have seen a lot of bottles before. And I'm comparing this bottle with all the bottles that I have ever seen. So this is the smallest bottle I've ever seen. When you compare long adjectives and adverbs, you use more and most. English is the most interesting subject. I bet everyone agrees with that. Let's move on to the exercises. Exercise 4.50. I'm hoping this is where it is. So 4.50. That's 4.51, but it's on the same page. Everyone has the book, I hope. Hope everyone has the book, but I'll be reading the sentences out loud and I'll be explaining everything. So if you follow the class, you will still get all the content that you're supposed to get from today. Emma is small, but Jane is. So now we're comparing Jane and Emma. Emma is small, but Jane is smaller. Letter A, smaller. Letter B, Will is tall. Will is tall, but Tom is taller. Letter C, Ms. Brain is old, but Ms. Jones is older. Letter D, Mr. Pierce's temperature is high, but Mr. Dave's temperature is higher. You know, this video will be available for a very long time. So if you're not quite following everything, you can go back and watch it again and fast forward to the parts where you get the answers and you'll be fine. Ms. Brown's injuries are serious, but Mr. Taylor's injuries are, and here you have the word serious. Serious. More serious than. So here you will say, Mr. Taylor's injuries are more serious. Letter F. The little finger is swollen, but the thumb is more swollen. Letter G. The medicine in the big bottle is strong, but the medicine in the small bottle is stronger. Letter H. The blister on the big toe is painful, but the blister on the heel is more painful. Four point 4.51. Choose the correct form of the adjective or adverb. I'm going over these with you, so you will spend less time doing this and more time doing what will come next. I'll tell you after we're done. 4.51. Choose the correct form of the adjective or adverb. Some people have a higher risk of accidents than others. So letter A on 4.51 is higher because you're comparing the higher risk. Some people, you're comparing one group of people with another group of people. So it's still two. Higher. Letter B. Each year, fewer people die from drowning than from car accidents. So we are talking about two things, drowning and car accidents. So we use a comparative. C. Fortunately, injury rates are lower than before. Low has one syllable. Only one syllable. So all you do with the short words, you just add an ER. Low, lower. Next one. Still, many workers should be, and then you have two options there. You have much more and you have most. And the adjective is careful. You are comparing how they are now, they're careful, with how they should be. So it's two situations. They should be much more careful about the risks they take. Letter E. A broken leg will recover faster if it's kept still. So I'm comparing a broken leg if it's moving around and if it's kept still. Two situations. Fast, faster. Fast has one syllable. Fast, faster. Then you add ER to it. F. Hopefully, people are getting better at giving first aid than before. Here is an irregular. This is really important, and I can't blow straight past it. I have to talk about it. Here are 3 ways of expressing yourself when it comes to these adjectives. Good, better, the best. Those are irregular types of comparative forms and superlative forms. So you don't use the same word. And I believe if you think about Norwegian, it's quite similar. God, bedre, best. It should be easy to remember. The opposite, motsatt, the opposite of this is also irregular. Let me write this down. I didn't mean to disappear, but I clicked on something and I disappeared, but my voice is still there, so we're still good. Bad, worse, the worst. Bad, worse, the worst. Dårlig, verre, verste. Bad, worse, the worst. Extremely important, and I don't want to see anyone making those mistakes with those, because those are irregular. The irregular forms are usually easier to remember. We have 2 more, G and H. G, pale, cold, and sweaty skin. Is the most, or is it clearest sign of shock? Pale, cold, and sweaty skin is the clearest sign of shock. Clear, clearest. H, the last one we're going to do together. If a person is unconscious, it is more difficult to find out what injuries they have. So I have some good news, which I think will be good news. I hope. You will only have to do 452, 453, and 454 on page 161 on your own, because we already did 450 and 451 together just now. So you will use some of the time to complete. Okay, pages 160 and 161. Pages 160 and 161, you will do all exercises but 455. Page 160, we've already taken care of it, so you will do page 161, 4.52, 4.53, and 4.54. You will do by yourselves. Now I'd like everybody to open their books to page 155. You're going back a few pages. And I'm going to play an audio file. So I'm going to need absolute silence for that. Go into a quiet space for this. Make sure you listen and look at the words. Don't space out, because I know people sometimes when you're doing listening activities, I've seen this many times when I played an audio file and then when it was over, I asked, so what was this about? Or asked a question, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Well, you should be. So I want everybody to go into a quiet space, put on headphones, keep the book open, look at the words as you listen to the words. I cannot stress this enough. It's really important. Chapter 4, page 155, 61 hours. There's only 3 minutes of your life. Everyone listen and look at the page. It's very important. Look at the words as you listen to the words.
61 Hours by Lee Child. In the thriller 61 Hours, 2010, we meet Jack Reacher, a former military policeman and captain, who faces many challenges as he fights bad guys in the icy winter of South Dakota. At the beginning of the book, he helps a group of elderly people after their bus has skidded on the icy road and into a ditch.
Reacher ducked back and started checking the old folks. The driver had gotten through the first 2 rows. All 4 of the window seat passengers were sporting Band-Aids over cuts from the metal edges around the glass. One woman had a second Band-Aid on the aisle side of her face, presumably from where her husband's head had hit her after bouncing around like a rag doll. The first broken bone was in row 3. A delicate old lady, built like a bird. She had been swinging right when the bus changed direction and swung left. The window had tapped her hard on the shoulder. The blow had busted her collarbone. Reacher could see that in the way she was cradling her arm. He said, "Ma'am, may I take a look at that?" She said, "You're not a doctor." "I had some training in the Army." "Were you a medic?" "I was a military cop. We got some medical training." "I'm cold." "Shock," Reacher said. "And it's snowing." She turned her upper body towards him, implied consent. He put his fingertips on her collarbone, through her blouse. The bone was as delicate as a pencil. It was snapped halfway along its length. A clean break, not compound. She asked, "Is it bad?" "It's good," Reacher said. "It did its job. A collarbone is like a circuit breaker. It breaks so that your shoulder and your neck stay okay. It heals fast and easy." "I need to go to the hospital." Reacher nodded. "We'll get you there." He moved on. There was a sprained wrist in row 4, and a broken wrist in row 5, plus a total of 13 cuts, many minor contusions, and a lot of shock reactions. The temperature was dropping like a stone. Reacher walked up the aisle, head bent, and found the driver. The guy was in his seat, holding an open cell phone in his right hand, staring through the windshield, drumming his left-hand fingertips on the wheel. He said, "We've got a problem." "What kind of problem?" "I called 911. The highway patrol is all either 60 miles north of here or 60 miles east. There are two big storms coming in. One from Canada, one off the lakes. There's all kinds of mayhem. All the tow trucks went with them. They've got 100 cars pileups. This highway is closed behind us. And up ahead.
This is a passage from a book. The name of the book is 61 Hours. This book, there is a movie that they made based on this book. If you go on to page 159, you will see the movie poster. And you see who the actor is. He's the main person in the movie. He's the protagonist. So Tom Cruise plays the main character in this movie. Here's what I have as a suggestion. You will finish doing page 161, exercises 452, 453, and 454. And after that, you will go on Netflix and find the movie, and you can start watching it. The name of the movie is different from the book. The book is 61 Hours. The movie is Jack Reacher. That's the name of the movie. I know that some of you are in touch online all the time, and some of you have been in touch in person all the time. So I suggest that you, if you're not able to get Netflix, I think most of you have Netflix. I cannot stream it anywhere because it's illegal, and I'll get a copyright claim on my channel and lose my channel and get my Facebook blocked. So I cannot show the movie myself. I know that at my daughter's school, the kids had to watch Jesus Christ Superstar, and they streamed the movie for the kids, the entire movie, while they're having their video conference. I do not feel like I can do that because I'm using YouTube and Facebook as platforms. I think that maybe in another platform I could do it, but I don't want to risk it. So here's my suggestion. Watch part of the movie today, and this will be part of today's class. And next class on Friday, we'll have half the time for our video conference in our class, and the other half you can finish watching it. This has been my policy for a number of years. If I can help it, I don't like having the whole class time dedicated to a movie. I like to do some work, do some video activity, I really don't feel comfortable using the entire class time for it at once. And it's not going to be any different now that we're doing this online. So this is my suggestion. If you choose not to watch part of the movie today and you choose to just watch the whole thing in one go at some other point in time, that's fine. As long as you do the work you're supposed to do for today, which is the 3 activities on the book. And I'll show you one more time so people don't say, oh, I don't know what the homework was. You can always watch the video again and find out. But some people, oh, I didn't see it. There we go. Language Lab. The 3 exercises on page 161. So that's more important than anything else, but the movie is part of this chapter, so I would like you to watch it. It is a movie that's based on a passage of that on a book, and you've just worked on a passage of that book, so I really feel like you should watch it. So watch part of it today, part of it on Friday. As usual, you'll have the video class, and after the video class, you'll watch the rest of the movie. And you will write a paragraph about the movie. A summary. The paragraph can be a summary. The paragraph can be about a part of the movie that you like the most. The paragraph can be about a character in the movie that you liked very much. Or you can write, if, for example, you decide to go nuts and read the book 61 hours, you can write a paragraph just comparing the main differences between the book and the movie. As long as you write a paragraph about the movie. But that's after Friday, not today. You will by now have received an email from me with the numbers of the pages, with a written summary of what you need to do for the day. So now my advice to you, do the written exercises first and then watch the movie. Try to watch the first part of it anyway.